Earth's destruction was imminent. A massive Voth spaceship materialized over Washington, D.C., ready to rain death on the primitive American city. Deep beneath the Pentagon, General Thompson looked up from his classified dossier at Nathan Coleman, a former Marine Raider turned CIA operator. "The buggy aliens will wipe us out, Coleman." They transmitted a final message saying America is Earth's weakest country. "Backwater savages, they call us." "That's propaganda." "Show me the briefing again," Nathan demanded. He grabbed the file and quickly scanned it. The Voth had studied Earth for centuries, detailing cultural profiles, military capabilities, and tech levels, all underestimating America and the human spirit. Dr. Reeves rushed in. "My xenobiology team finished translating the hidden threat. The Voth fleet arrives in 1 hour. We must send a delegation to their ship immediately, or they'll initiate a full invasion." "Those slimy tentacle bastards," Coleman muttered. "You're our best shot, Nathan. You know their language from that classified op. It's crazy, but you need to head up there and stall them. We're scrambling the nukes now but need time." Nathan cracked his knuckles. "I'll show them exactly how tough we primitive American savages are. They want a delegation? They're damn well going to get one." He grabbed his gear and dashed to the roof where a helicopter awaited. Earth's survival depended on him, knocking the Voth's arrogance down a notch. As the chopper soared toward the contact site, Nathan reviewed his alien negotiation training, searching for any psychological edge. His mind raced with visceral images of tentacled Voth soldiers marching through burning American cities, innocent humans herded into slave labor camps, and all he held dear subjugated under alien tyranny. He'd die before he let that happen. The Voth would soon realize their grave mistake. This meeting would be their first and last act of aggression against the mighty United States. Coleman would make sure of that. Nathan stepped out of the helicopter onto the sun-baked tarmac of the secluded Nevada military base. The roar of the rotor blades faded as he strode toward the small reception committee awaiting his arrival. Dr. Reeves stood with a tablet in hand, ready to offer scientific insights into the Voth's technology. Captain Sarah Novak, looking crisp in her Air Force uniform, had a steely gaze that spoke to her experience with advanced aerospace systems. Lieutenant Michael Chin, the linguistics expert, greeted Nathan with a curt nod, his skills in alien languages sure to prove invaluable. Colonel David R., the base commander, stepped forward to brief the team. "The Voth delegation arrived an hour ago. They're waiting in Hangar 18. I've got to warn you, their leader is a real piece of work. Goes by the name Cyrus. He's been talking a lot of smack about our primitive tech and laughing off America's military might." Nathan's jaw tightened. Arrogant bastards. They have no idea what they're in for. As the team approached the hangar, a sense of unease prickled at the back of Nathan's neck. Strange, pulsating lights seeped from beneath the heavy metal door, casting an eerie glow across the ground. With a deep breath, Nathan gripped the handle and pulled the door open, leading his team inside. The sight that greeted them stopped Nathan cold. A dozen towering Voth warriors stood in a semicircle, each at least 8 feet tall, their bodies encased in sleek, advanced exoskeletal armor that made them look like something out of a science fiction nightmare. In the center of the group stood Cyrus. The Voth leader had piercing yellow eyes that seemed to bore right through Nathan's skull, radiating an aura of raw power and unbridled superiority. Cyrus began to speak in a harsh, guttural language that sounded like shards of glass scraping against metal. Lieutenant Chin listened intently, his brow furrowed in concentration. After a moment, Chin turned to the team, his face pale. "He says we must surrender immediately. The Voth have apparently infiltrated our key institutions and have the ability to disable our infrastructure with a single command." Nathan's heart hammered in his chest as the gravity of the situation sank in. This was no negotiation. It was a trap. The Voth thought they could waltz in and demand America's capitulation. They had no clue who they were dealing with. The United States would never bend the knee to these alien scumbags. Adrenaline surged through Nathan's veins. He had to find a way to turn the tables, and fast. The fate of his nation, and perhaps the entire world, hung in the balance. Nathan's eyes darted from Cyrus to his team, a plan rapidly forming in his mind. They had to act before the Voth leader could make good on his threats. With a subtle hand gesture, Nathan signaled to Dr. Reeves, Captain Novak, and Lieutenant Chen to be ready for anything. As Cyrus droned on about the supposed superiority of the Voth and the inevitability of Earth's surrender, Dr. Reeves discreetly aimed a small concealed device at the alien warriors. The device, a highly advanced scanner of her own design, analyzed the composition and structure of their exoskeletal armor. Within seconds, a wealth of data flooded the device's screen, and Dr. Reeves's eyes widened in surprise. "Their armor," she whispered urgently, her voice barely audible over Cyrus's monologue. "It's vulnerable to a specific frequency of electromagnetic radiation." Nathan, Captain Novak, and Lieutenant Chun exchanged glances, their special contact lenses allowing them to communicate silently. A plan began to take shape, each team member's unique skills and knowledge coming into play. Captain Novak reached into her pocket and withdrew a small, innocuous-looking device. She stepped forward, interrupting Cyrus mid-sentence. "May I?" she said, her voice calm and confident. "I'd like to demonstrate a piece of our technology, a holographic projector capable of creating incredibly realistic 3D images." Sirius paused, his yellow eyes narrowing in suspicion. "Very well," he growled, "but make it quick." Captain Novak held out the device, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "If you just take a closer look," she said, offering it to the Voth leader. As Sirius reached out to take the device, Nathan gave a barely perceptible nod. Captain Novak's thumb brushed over a hidden button, and the device emitted a powerful electromagnetic pulse targeted directly at the Voth warrior's armor. The effect was instantaneous. The warriors staggered, their armor sparking and sizzling as the EMP rendered it useless. They stumbled, disoriented and vulnerable. Their imposing presence diminished in an instant. Nathan and his team sprang into action, moving with practiced efficiency. Lieutenant Chun, drawing upon his extensive knowledge of Voth physiology, targeted pressure points and nerve clusters, neutralizing the aliens with swift, precise strikes. Dr. Reeves and Captain Novak provided support, ensuring that the warriors were subdued without any loss of life. In a matter of moments, the once formidable Voth delegation lay incapacitated on the hangar floor, their leader Sirius the only one still conscious. He struggled to his feet, his face contorted with rage and humiliation. "So, you fools," he spat, his voice dripping with venom. "You think you've won? We have a ship in orbit ready to rain destruction upon your pathetic nation if our demands are not met. America will burn." Nathan stepped forward, his eyes locked on Sirius. "You've underestimated us," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "You thought you knew everything about our capabilities, our resolve, but you were wrong." He glanced at his team, a plan already forming in his mind. "We're going to use your own technology against you," he said, a grim smile tugging at his lips. "We infiltrate your ship and launch a counterattack, one you'll never see coming." Sirius's eyes widened in disbelief, the realization of his miscalculation dawning upon him. The Voth had come to Earth expecting an easy victory, a swift subjugation of a primitive species. But as he stared into the determined faces of Nathan and his team, he began to understand the true depth of human resourcefulness and determination. The battle for Earth was far from over, and the Voth were about to learn the hard way what it meant to underestimate the United States of America. Nathan motioned for Dr. Reeves to come closer. She pulled a sleek metallic device from her pocket, a miniature replica of the Voth teleportation system. She had reverse-engineered it from the disabled exoskeletons in mere minutes. "I've synced it to their ship's frequency," Dr. Reeves whispered, handing it to Nathan, "but there's only enough power for one jump." Nathan nodded grimly, knowing the immense risk. He slipped into a Voth exoskeleton, the alien armor conforming to his body. With a deep breath, he activated the teleporter. Reality warped and twisted, colors inverted, gravity lost meaning. Then, in a flash of blinding light, Nathan materialized aboard the Voth ship. The air was thick and stale, tinged with an acrid chemical scent. Eerie shadows danced across the walls, cast by pulsating bioluminescent tubes. The ship was alive, a monstrous fusion of organic tissue and cold metal. Nathan moved cautiously through the dimly lit corridors, his armor's HUD flickering with incomprehensible alien script. The ship was eerily quiet, most of the Voth warriors having already deployed to Earth. Rounding a corner, Nathan froze. Ahead, a lone Voth technician stood hunched over a glowing console, monitoring Earth transmissions. Nathan's heart raced. Discovery meant certain death. He activated his suit's comlink. "Chun, I need you to talk me through this." Lieutenant Chin's voice crackled in his ear, quickly instructing Nathan in the guttural Voth language. Nathan approached the technician, the alien words feeling harsh and unnatural in his mouth. The technician spun around, eyes wide with surprise. Nathan continued speaking, the armor distorting his voice into a metallic rasp. He was Voth security, sent to check on the power core. The technician relaxed slightly, gesturing down a branching corridor before turning back to his console. Nathan released a slow breath. The ruse had worked. He hurried down the corridor, following the twisting path deeper into the bowels of the ship. The walls pulsed with an unsettling organic rhythm, like the beating of some monstrous heart. Finally, he reached a massive sealed door etched with glowing Voth runes. Beyond lay the ship's main power core, a roiling mass of exotic dark energy. If he could trigger an overload, the entire ship would be crippled. Nathan reached for the door controls, his armored hand shaking slightly. This was it, Earth's last hope. Suddenly, an ear-splitting alarm tore through the ship. Red light flooded the corridor. Nathan's blood ran cold. They knew he was here. He slammed his fist against the door controls, sparks flying from the alien mechanism. The door shuddered and began to open agonizingly slow. Heavy footsteps thundered behind him. Nathan spun, his heart stopping. A heavily armed squad of Voth warriors charged towards him, weapons aimed. At their head was Sirius himself, eyes burning with primal rage. Nathan dove through the opening door, energy bolts sizzling past his head. Emergency blast shields started slamming shut. He rolled to his feet, finding himself face to face with the pulsating power core. The Voth warriors pounded against the sealed door, the metal buckling beneath their inhuman strength. Nathan had seconds at most. He sprinted to the core housing, tearing off an access panel with desperate strength. A tangled mass of pulsing conduits and flickering crystals greeted him. He had no idea what to do. "Reeves!" he screamed into his comm. "How the hell do I blow this thing?" Dr. Reeves's voice was tense, almost lost in a burst of static. "The central crystal matrix. Fracture the housing. It'll trigger a chain reaction." Nathan ripped a jagged metal shard from his armor and raised it high. The door exploded inward, Voth warriors pouring into the chamber. Sirius leveled his weapon at Nathan's head. "You've lost, human," the alien warlord snarled. "Earth will burn." Nathan locked eyes with Sirius, a deep, burning rage taking hold. "Not today." He brought the metal shard down, shattering the crystal housing. The core convulsed, cracks of searing white light splitting its surface. A rising unearthly wail shook the chamber. Sirius's eyes widened in shock and horror. Nathan braced himself as a blinding flash consumed everything. The ship bucked and heaved as explosions tore through its structure. Gravity failed, the world tumbling into chaos. Nathan felt a strong hand close around his arm, then darkness claimed him. He locked eyes with Sirius across the pulsing power core, his armored hand gripping a jagged metal shard. Sweat beaded on his brow inside the alien helmet. "You think destroying this ship will stop us?" Sirius snarled. "We are Legion. Earth is ripe for conquest." "You don't know about Earth," Nathan spat back, edging closer to the core. "And you sure as hell don't know America. We'll fight to our last breath before bowing to you Voth scum." As Nathan kept Sirius talking, Dr. Reeves and Captain Novak worked feverishly at the core control console, lines of alien script flashing across the screen. Lieutenant Chun took up position by the shattered door, rifle aimed steadily at the Voth warriors. "You're only delaying the inevitable," Sirius growled. "When our armada arrives, your cities will burn, your people will be slaves. This is your last chance to surrender." "Never," Nathan said coldly. "America will never surrender." Sirius roared in anger. "Kill them." The Voth charged forward, energy weapons blazing. Chun opened fire, the air filling with the stench of ozone and seared flesh. Reeves looked up from the console, eyes wide. "It's going critical," he shouted. The core shuddered and convulsed, glowing cracks spreading across its surface. A rising, otherworldly wail filled the chamber. The Voth froze in place, Cyrus's eyes going wide. "No, no," he screamed. A massive shock wave ripped through the ship, throwing warriors off their feet. Conduits burst. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks. "The escape pods!" Cyrus bellowed. The Voth turned and fled, trampling each other in their desperation to escape the doomed ship. Nathan grabbed his team, huddling close as Reeves activated the teleporter with shaking hands. The device hummed, reality twisting around them, and they were back on Earth, sprawled on the desert sand, gasping for breath. High above, the Voth ship convulsed in its death throes, spewing gouts of flame. With a final soundless detonation, the ship exploded in a blinding flash that turned night to day. Fiery debris rained down, streaking across the sky like hellish meteors. Cheers erupted around the world as news spread of the Voth's defeat. Crowds poured into the streets, waving American flags, chanting USA, USA. The president declared it a new national holiday, Victory Day. But as Nathan watched the celebrations on TV from his hospital bed, he couldn't shake a chilling sense of unease. Something still didn't feel right. That night, the nightmares began. Hideous visions of a sky darkened by Voth ships, of bug-eyed horrors marching through American cities, of monuments crumbling and oceans boiling. He woke shaking and soaked with icy sweat. Over the next days, a horrifying picture began to emerge. Analysts found references in the Voth databanks to a forge, a colossal fleet of conquest lurking at the edge of the solar system. The ship they destroyed had only been an exploratory vessel, a scout, and Cyrus was still alive. Intercepted transmissions showed him conferring with shadowy figures at the highest levels of power. Somehow, he had survived. Somehow, he was subverting America from within, weakening it for the coming invasion. As a manhunt began for the alien infiltrator, Nathan knew there was only one person Cyrus would be coming for: him. He had to disappear, had to find a way to stop the invasion before all was lost. Nathan limped out of the hospital, vanishing into the night, leaving everything behind. His career, his identity, his life. He had sacrificed everything for his country, and it still hadn't been enough. The Voth were coming, and he was the only one who knew the terrible truth. In the darkness of space, a vast armada slid silently into the solar system, blotting out the stars. The forge had arrived, and Earth had no idea what was about to hit it. The nightmare was only just beginning.